Welcome back to the 2020 Halloween Spooktacular. Today I'm going to be talking about a movie I had no idea even existed until last year. Ashley over at the Movie Oracle actually brought this to my attention, so thank you, Ashley. This is a little horror movie from 1996, written and directed by Peter Jackson and starring Michael J. Fox. It is called The Frighteners. Michael J. Fox plays a man who can communicate with ghosts. And he and these ghosts have this business that is actually a scam, but when the ghost of a serial killer actually takes the form of the Grim Reaper, Michael J. Fox now has to investigate and try and figure out what is going on there. And it leads for a really goddamn fun ride. My god, I did not expect this movie to be like this. I actually expected this movie to be very dark and dreary and cold and damp. At least that's the vibe I was getting from the Blu-ray cover, from the poster, from the description on the back of the Blu-ray. Like, I had no idea that this was like a horror comedy, and that's exactly what it is. Michael J. Fox is the perfect person for this type of movie, too. Yes, he's just playing Marty McFly all over again. You could say that this is Back to the Future with ghosts. It doesn't look like Michael J. Fox has aged a day in his life, but he is having a grand old time in this movie. He's having so much fun, as is everybody else that's in this movie. The ghosts that he gets to interact with at the beginning, they are hilarious. Chi McBride plays one of them, and it's hilarious.
Start pulling your weight, guys. You're going back to the cemetery.
Yeah, well, you can pull this, Frank. I'm about to go like Jesse on your ass. I'm gonna find me some other black ghosts and then organize a march. The African American Apparition Coalition, the AAAC. And I'm gonna tell you something, Frank. It ain't nothing worse than a bunch of pissed off brothers that's already dead.
So many lines that they had, especially Chi McBride's ghost, where I was dying laughing. I mean, there are certain jokes that wouldn't get past the censors today, definitely, or would be offensive today. Having watched so many movies where I'm used to those jokes now, it is actually a little bit funny. These jokes aren't anything bad, it's just, I feel like people would be way too offended today if you said these jokes, which I'm glad this movie just goes for it. It's also a very fast-paced movie. It just keeps moving and moving and moving along. There's constantly something happening, which in a movie like this, I feel like you need. Every sequence has its own form of entertainment. Every sequence has its own form of its own jokes. There are a few instances where it does feel like it drags on a little bit, especially in the director's cut, which is the one I watched, which could have been just 20 minutes shorter, which is actually the length of the theatrical cut. I have no idea what the theatrical cut is like. I watched the director's cut. I'm assuming it's not much different. There's only like 10 extra minutes. So, I mean, you could have actually just probably shaved those 10 minutes off of the runtime of the director's cut. Here I am complaining about a director's cut that's supposed to be longer, and yet I want time trimmed off of it. That makes no sense. Despite how entertaining and fun this movie is, you can definitely tell that when Peter Jackson wrote this movie, he definitely focused less on character and more on plot. But he focused less on character and plot, focused more on special effects, which at the time did not look good at all in 1996. This was where CGI was starting to become a thing right when it hit the new millennium, right when it hit 2000. That's when we got a lot of CGI in movies. This was like the prelude to CGI. So yes, they try it in this movie. There are times where it looks great. Like, the ghosts look amazing in this movie. I love the look of the ghosts, although when somebody stands in front of the ghosts, you can see like the outline of that person. That was kind of annoying, but other than that, I like the ghosts. It's just when they're like in objects, the objects are just so obviously CGI'd, and it was in the early stages of development with CGI, so it looks fucking terrible. But at the same time, you have to put this movie into historical context. It was 1996. It wasn't 2020 or anything. While I am complaining about the CGI in this movie, I will say it does look better than some early 2000s action movies or superhero movies that use CGI a lot, which says something about those movies and how much those movies have aged. Unfortunately, in the second half of the movie, those two ghost buddies that hang out with Michael J. Fox in the first half really aren't in the second half all that much, so the second half feels like it's lacking in that regard. Instead, we're going on this quest and we have this really annoying villain guy who I really do not like. And we go into this house at the end. The entire third act is devoted to this thing. I wanted more of the ghost guys. I wanted more of Michael J. Fox's ghost buddies. because they were hilarious. The second half is still entertaining, but there's a bit of that entertainment value that's just missing when they're not there. Because they had the best jokes in the movie, they had the best scenes in the movie, and then we just get to this plot where Michael J. Fox has to have an out-of-body experience. And I just felt the movie just lacked a little bit of charm. It lacked a little bit of energy. It was still entertaining. It still had that more lighthearted tone, which I'm going to get into in a minute. That the first half did, it was just, it didn't have as much of it. And I think that was because his ghost buddies weren't in the second half all that much. So the second half felt a lot longer to me than the first half of the movie. And at times it felt like it was starting to drag. That's just me though. Let's talk about the tone of this movie, because as I said from the get-go, I expected this thing to be a darker toned type of movie, especially given the backstory that Michael J. Fox's character has. I have no idea why this movie's rated R, other than one or two shots here and there. You could easily have gotten away with a PG-13 rating. I have no idea why it's rated R. That's the type of movie we're dealing with. Basically, it's Casper meets Ghostbusters in a little bit of a more mature type of way, but not in that R-rated type of way, so I have no idea why this is even rated R. This to me is family friendly, other than like maybe one or two shots where there's blood coming out or a ghost gets decapitated and you see it, but I mean, it's light enough in tone where you can watch this with your kids. Like, your kids will enjoy this. This is PG-13 level stuff. I don't really understand the MPAA's rating on this for terror and violence. What's terror? It was more just entertaining ghost action that's hilarious, mixed in with hilarious jokes. So I really don't understand that bit. And going off of that, The Frighteners was just damn entertaining. I didn't expect this to be a horror action comedy. I expected this to be more of like a serious, somber type of horror movie that somebody communicates with the dead and then supernatural things start happening. But that's not what this movie is, and because it's a horror action comedy, you got Michael J. Fox, who I think is perfect for this movie, even though he's basically playing Marty McFly again, and it's really entertaining. It's just, for me, the second half of the movie doesn't have as much energy as the first half due to his ghost buddies not being in it that much, and because of that, it does drag a little bit. But this is a damn entertaining movie. I can't wait to show family and friends this movie. I don't even know if anybody else knows it exists, because I had a blast watching this movie. I was entertained for the entire 2-hour runtime. I'm going to give The Frighteners a B+. Definitely took me by surprise in terms of its more lighthearted tone. I was expecting something else and I got something else, but I still liked what I got, even though I didn't get what I wanted. So guys, have you seen The Frighteners? What did you think of The Frighteners? I want some feedback. Drop me a comment in the comment section below. I will leave my link to my website in the description below as well. Stay tuned for more reviews and horror movie reviews in this Halloween spooktacular. I'm having a blast talking about a lot of these Halloween themed movies and horror movies this year. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I'll see you at the movies somewhere.